My name is Bhagwan Chaudhary. I am a professor of finance at the Indian School of Business, ISB. Today, I want to talk about how to finance infrastructure projects. Now, what are infrastructure projects? Well, there are many projects like building an airport, a railway station, a mall, or a university that have lots of benefits to society. But it is very hard to find the money to finance them. The government often doesn't have enough tax revenues, and trying to raise money using debt is very hard because the benefits or revenues, in some sense, from these infrastructure projects come much later in life. Okay. So today I want to talk about a new method, a new method for raising financing for infrastructure projects. Here's the idea that when I build a new infrastructure project, let's say a new school or a university, let's say ISP, well, we know that it has a lot of good things it's going to do. But one thing it's going to do is if I build a university at a place, the area surrounding that place is going to increase in value. There will be shops, there will be stores, there will be restaurants, and so on and so forth. And what we can do is we can sell the land around the university to raise financing. Now, that's the basic idea. But how do you do it in a way that is optimal? And that is what this talk is about. In fact, I just wrote an op-ed in Economic Times that describes what this method is. And there's also a research paper whose link I'm going to give you in this talk to see the details of how this idea works. Okay. So imagine that I'm going to build a university, and the university is in the circle. Let's call that ISB. And let's say the land around ISB right now is empty. It may be outside the city like it was when ISB was built. And let's say the value of the land around ISB before we decide to build ISB was, let's say about, let's make it 90,000 per acre. Okay, so 90,000 rupees per acre is the value of the land around ISB. Now what do? Now I build ISB. When I build ISB, area around ISB, okay? So think about something right outside me. That is going to increase in value, okay? Because ISB brings in many students, it brings in staff, and so on and so forth, and maybe there will be other things that will be built around it. So what used to be 90,000 per acre now is going to increase in value. So let's say something that is right at the boundary, let's say that increases in value to, oh, I don't know, let's say 10 times as much. So its value goes to 900,000 per acre, or 9 lakh per acre, because ISB was built. Okay. Now, as you go away from ISB, as you go a little farther away, so right near the ISB, it is worth 900,000. A little bit away, the value is going to drop, because farther away you are from this infrastructure project, the value is going to be smaller. So it goes from 900, then it goes to 800. As you go farther, it becomes 700, and so on and so forth. And at some point, the value would be so small that you wouldn't want to develop it any further. Okay, so let me give it a little bit more structure. Let's say the value of the land without development was 90,000, but let's say I need to spend another 10,000 per acre to make this land ready. say it was a farmland, to make it ready. So the total cost of giving up that land is 100,000 per acre. I'm giving up 90,000 in the value of the land, alternative use, but I'm also spending another 10,000 to get it ready for development. Okay, but there will be some point far away from ISB where this number is going to be exactly 100,000. So area right around that is not worth developing. Why? Because it's worth 90,000. And if I develop it, it's going to be worth 100,000. So I'll say, let it go. So a ring around ISB like this will get developed. Closer you are to ISB, the higher will be the value. As you go farther and farther, the value would be basically 100,000, and that's where you will stop. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, what it means is I have now created value. If I could sell all this land around ISB, it will be valuable. Why? Because its value after the development is much more than 100. It's perhaps 900, perhaps 800, perhaps 700, and so on and so forth. So now I have created a lot of value around it. If I could sell this land, that may be enough to pay for all the development that needs to take place for generating ISB. Now that's the basic idea. Okay, now let me try something else. Let's suppose instead of building ISB at a place where the land was cheap, 90,000 per acre, instead of 90,000 per acre, let's say the land around this was actually more expensive. Let's call it, say, 490,000 per acre. Now I'm not in a farmland anymore. I'm closer to a city where the land is more expensive. And like before, let's say it costs another 10,000 per acre to develop it. So if I give up that land, essentially my opportunity cost of using that land around is 500,000 per acre. Now what will I do? How much land would I develop around ISB? Well, the value is 500 with development, but now with ISB, this value was close to 900. So I would say that's still better than 500. So let's go ahead and do it. Then go farther, it's 800, then 700, but soon I'm going to hit 500. So I will reach a point where the value of the land post-development is going to be 500,000. And guess what? The value of the land was 500,000 anyway. Okay, so think about this is closer to the city. So it's not worth developing it any farther. Okay, so now I am going to make a ring around ISB that is going to be smaller. So how much extra value did I create? Well, now it is the difference between 900 minus 500 or 800 minus 500 as opposed to 900 minus 100 as was the case before. So you see, in this case, the additional value created is not going to be as high. So what do we learn? What we learn is that the increase in value is going to be more when the land prices are lower. Increase in the value of land is going to be smaller where the land prices are already high. And this is sort of intuitive. That's why we see when the new projects come up like airports, you don't build airports smack in the middle of the city in Connaught Place. You're going to build it away from the city. So when new university comes up, like Ashoka University, you build it in Sonipat in Haryana, close to Delhi. You don't build it in Lajpat Nagar. in Delhi. Okay, so that's what we are going to learn. Okay, because in my example, I said the value of the land was 90,000 or 490,000. But you see, I may not really know the value of the land. So this price, it's not like it's published in economic times and it's easy to determine. So the government who's trying to raise the money may not know what the price of the land is going to be before the infrastructure project is built. Furthermore, I may not even know what the price of the land would be post development. I said it was 900 or 800 or 700, but I don't know what that number is. The market might know what that number is, but I may not know that right away. So when people are bidding, I don't know whether the bids that are coming are correct or not. So the protocol I'm going to suggest avoids knowledge of what the price of the land is before and what the price of the land will end up being afterwards. How so? Well, this is what we're going to do. We will say you bid for the right to build ISP and you decide how much area you're going to develop around ISP because you know what the value of the land is going to be around. Okay, you know the value before and after. And because I as government don't know it, what I will say is you don't have to pay me cash for the right to build ISP. What you do is you say, you're going to give me a certain fraction of this land around ISP. And the rest of the land you get to keep. So you give me a fraction, let's say 40% comes to me, to the government. And let's say you keep 60% of the land. Okay. And the way the bid is going to be chosen is the one who offers me the largest area around ISP in compensation. And that's what I show in my paper, that those where the value of the land pre-development was smaller are going to build a larger area around ISB because the benefit is larger. And when I get a fraction of it, that fraction is going to be worth more post-development. So basically what I'm getting is I'm getting an equity-like share in the area around ISP. And I don't need to know what those prices are because those who are offering me the land also hold an equity-like claim on the area around it. So they will choose in such a way that this value of the equity that they get to keep is high. And that means that the value that they offer to me is also going to be high. And that is exactly what I show in my paper. That with this equity-like arrangements, without knowing the price of the land before development and without knowing the price of the land after development, all I do is I say you bid for it and whoever offers me the largest area around ISB that I can then sell in the market post-development at market prices, then I know I did the right thing. One more thing. You might say the people are going to trick you. They're going to trick the government. So they'll take area around ISB and they will give me 40% of the area around this that is of low value, and they'll keep 60% of the area around ISB that has a high value because they know what the value is and I as the government don't do it. The way to get around this is you ask the bidder to take the area around and break it up into 100 parcels, let's say. You're going to offer me 40 of those parcels and you're going to keep 60 of those parcels. Government has the right to pick which 40. You say these are the 100 parcels, go and pick any 40 I want. Now you know what the developer is going to do. He's going to make sure that each parcel is of equal value. Because if he makes it unequal value, the government may end up picking the parcels that are more expensive rather than less. But if you make them of equal value, if I randomly pick it, it doesn't matter. I will truly end up getting 40% of the share, and the developer is going to keep 60% of the share. So that's the protocol. It's very simple. What are the steps? The first step is the government announces that they want to build a university. So you announce it. Let's say you announce that you're going to build ISB near Hyderabad. Let people bid for the right to build ISB. My paper shows that nobody's going to offer land around Banjara Hills for ISB because yes, there will be an increase in value, but not as much. That's going to be rejected. But Gachipoli, which was basically a barren land at that time, is going to be offered because the increase in value that is very, very high. Okay. Now, I don't need to know the value of the land at Gachibowli before and after. What do? I pick from all these bids that bid which offers me the largest area around ISP. And the government picks this randomly. So you randomly pick 40 parcels out of 100, and that ensures that you're truly getting the 40% of the shares. The money that you raise by selling that land can be used to finance ISP. Now, let me tell you, this is sort of what happens, but not quite. How does it happen right now? Right now, it happens in a surreptitious, corrupt way. What the government does is it tips off people and say, hey, I'm going to build an airport here, and tells its friends that the airport is going to come over here. What private developers do is before anybody else finds out, they buy land around it. And they might give a little kickback to the politicians. So you're doing the same thing, but in this case, you're not raising money for the taxpayer. It is going in a corrupt way. And when you're doing it surreptitiously, you may not be picking up the land that has the highest value, that creates the highest value, and you may not use an auction mechanism, and that way you may not pick the right location. You may end up picking a location which gives away value. So right now, the way it happens in a corrupt way is not optimal. I am describing a process that is transparent, it's clear, everybody has the right to bid, and nobody needs to know what the value of the land is before or after. I get an equity-like share that I can sell in the market afterwards and use that to finance this land acquisition. So that's my paper. The link is here. You can go and read it, and you can also go and read the op-ed.